Hello and welcome to a Series of Horrors podcast. I'm Jackie from Canada.
And I am Jeff from America still. And welcome to our inaugural episode. Jackie, how's it feel? We've finally begun.
We've finally begun this very long journey.
We are here, episode 1.
Excellent. And for episode 1, what are we covering, Jeff?
Today we are covering Saw 1 for episode 1. As you guys know, and if you don't, maybe you don't because it's the first one, we cover horror movie franchises movie by movie. So today, Saw 1, next time, Saw 2.
Exactly. And right off the top, Jeff, how many times have you seen this movie?
The first one. This is the one I've seen. Yeah, this is the one I've seen the most. Mm-hmm. And I'm had to maybe have seen this movie, I'm counting today, maybe about 10, 11 times.
Okay, you have me beat. I was trying to figure it out, and I'm 6 or 7 times now of this movie. The first time that I saw it, I was in the 8th grade, and it was right when it came out. I was so fascinated and shocked by this movie. I went to class right after the weekend, and I sat down in my English class, and instead of doing any work, I just remember drawing out the bathroom scene for my friend and explaining the entire movie. It was
that's great.
Way too into it.
Oh no, I have a great story about how I discovered the Saw franchise. Mm-hmm. I had just recently moved to Florida back in 2004, and this movie came out October of 2004. That summer, I go to Circuit City, rest in peace, and buy a DVD of the Punisher movie starring Thomas Jane. And apparently, if you had purchased this DVD only at Circuit City, you had another second DVD that had a couple scenes from this movie. Huh. It had like 3 scenes from this movie. It had the scene with Danny Glover and his partner when they go into the warehouse for the first time and you see him get shot with the shotguns, the tripwire. And there were like 2 other, and the bear trap scene was another one, and there might have been one more. And that's all I've seen. I've never heard of it before. I'm like, what's this thing called Saw? It's this weird thing. It's in here. I have nothing else to do. Let me put it in.
What an ancient way to find out about a movie.
Exactly.
Little extra scenes on a DVD. That never happens anymore.
No, it was a separate DVD in the box. Like if you had bought the movie at Best Buy, you got like the soundtrack or like a video from the Seether song with the girl from Evanescence.
Oh yeah.
And if you got you got something else that was extra. I happened to go to Circuit City, and that happened to be what I got for it. And if it wasn't for that, who knows? So then it was me circling the day in my calendar and counting down the days for when I could go to the movie theater and see Saw opening night.
That's awesome.
It did not disappoint. It was so that's how I experienced Saw for the first time. It was great. And then it became a ritual. Me and my friends went every year in the movie theater, opening weekend, to watch the movie Saw.
That's fantastic. I did get to see the second one in theaters, as I mentioned before on our intro, but that was the only one I saw in theaters. I gave up after the second one. I think what really truly happened to me, I'm spoiling a little bit, I guess, but what truly happened to me was I was homesick with the stomach flu, and I decided, because Saw 3 was on the satellite, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw on Saw 3. It was not good with someone that had a queasy stomach.
Not a stomach flu movie. No, that is not a good idea.
No. And then I just had to turn it off and never tried again.
No, and Saw 3 starts off pretty gory. I have questions about this first one. Still love it, but I have a whole couple concerns that we'll get to along the way.
Oh, I can't wait to hear them.
Jackie, so kick us off. Let's see.
Okay, so I've already mentioned to Jeff, I have 13 pages of notes here that I took throughout this movie, so it's going to be an interesting ride. My very first note, we know this is a low-budget film based on the font selection.
Oh, wow. That's the new one. I need you to unpack that one for me a little bit. How can you tell just from the font selection?
When they first start introducing the movie and it says directed by James Wan, whatever, and Saw, the font selection is just a very basic font and has some really terrible effect on it that really reminded me of Microsoft Office back in the day, the word art.
The clip art stuff?
Yeah, the clip art, like, but for words, like, you could put like a little water effect on your word or something like that. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like to me. And I was like, oh dear. But then in my research, I found out that, in fact, this was a very low budget movie. And that's what inspired the premise, apparently. They had only budget for one set originally, so they came up with the script that that would be in one location.
And I vaguely remember around when this movie was coming out, apparently they found a location. Basically, they have it's like a warehouse, and the warehouse has a bunch of rooms in it. So they have a bedroom set in the warehouse, and the hotel, and this and that. So they basically just filmed it in that big warehouse, and just in different rooms in that warehouse. So they had to pay an X amount of money to use it, and they just got to use it for about a month or whatever it was that they were filming for.
Yeah, the only set they actually built was the bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything else just whatever they had, whatever was in that place. It was we could use this for that and this for that, and boom.
I mean, it brings me right back to my days in theater school of just trying to find things and pulling them together to make something out of it. But let's get back into this movie. Now that we've discovered the font. We open on a blue light floating above a man's submerged face. Special attention paid to this blue light, and it looks like it's attached to some sort of chain. The man wakes up, pulling the plug out of the bathtub that he is in, and the blue light is sucked down the drain.
Here comes my question number one. Blanket spoiler warning for Saw.
Oh yeah, if you haven't watched this movie, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Before I get started, blanket. I'm not holding any back. The movie's at this point 04 to 21. It is 17 years old. This movie could have been over in 10 minutes just off of this.
Yep.
Because the thing you see going down the drain is the key to the lock. So if it hadn't gone down the drain, he would have unlocked himself and walked out the room.
Yeah, that would have been the movie over. But also, what I noticed on this watch is that a lot happens in the first 15 minutes alone. It was quite interesting. So, as I said, this man, he unplugs the tub, he stumbles out of the water, and he hears someone else in the room. The other guy, he sounds really gruff and dismissive is my note, and then and then suddenly the lights come on and they reveal Wesley from The Princess Bride chained to a pipe opposite this other man who is chained to another pipe across the room. Between them, in this disgusting bathroom, is a body on the floor, and it lays between them, bloody and apparently dead. Now, in for a little fun fact here. Did you know they did not have money for a dummy, and thus Tobin Bell was lying there for every single scene in the bathroom?
Is that why they don't really show the body that often? They only show basically when they have to? It's like higher up? Pretty
much, because poor Mr. Bell. Lying on that cold bathroom floor for hours at a time.
Wet bathroom floor because there's blood strewn all around his head. So
it must have been sticky and dirty and gross.
And I have nasty bathroom questions. Well, that sounded worse than it's going to be.
Yeah, what's happening here?
What kind of bathroom is this? Because there's a sink, there are these two little bathtubs in the corner, some urinals off in one corner, a toilet around where the bathtub. I can't figure out what, if it wasn't dilapidated and destroyed, what would it have looked like during better days?
It's quite confusing. I don't know why there is a bathtub in a men's public washroom, is what it seems like.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Why is there a bathtub
There's no sink, so maybe that's why there's a bathtub.
I assume the sinks got taken out because that's where the mirror was. That's my guess.
Okay.
So that was my one thing. It made a little bit no sense to me as to what would this be used for during regular days.
I think Adam had it right. I think people used to cut out your kidney and you'd wake up there.
They built the room for that specifically. For when, hey, this is our kidney extracting room. So
that's the only way it makes sense to me. All right, back to this dead body. We notice that in one hand, he has a tape recorder, in the other, a revolver. My next favorite thing that I will be doing throughout this episode is quoting Adam directly. We haven't learned his name is Adam yet, but we will. His first line of amusement is, "My name is very fucking confused." Followed by
really?
that's his first great line, and then followed directly by, "I went to bed in my shithole apartment and I woke up in an actual shithole."
That's pretty good. I don't know if I'd be that quippy in that situation, but that's pretty good.
All the quip right away, all the sass right away. If I had woken up in a bathtub in a dirty ass men's washroom, I don't think I would be responding quite so sassily.
No, but hey, he's trying to make the best of a bad situation.
I guess so. Yeah. All right. So it's revealed that neither knows how they got here. The one, Fred Pirate Roberts, introduced himself as Dr. Gordon.
And then they go back and forth a little bit, basically trying, who are you? What are we doing here? Do you know what was going on? Who changes here? And then Dr. Gordon goes to the first flashback of the movie. I was like, I know why we're here. Or not why we're here, but I know what's going on.
Yeah, but before we do discover that, Adam finds a tape in his pocket. Well, he finds an envelope addressed to him, and inside that envelope is a tape that says, "Play me." This leads Dr. Gordon to follow suit, and he finds a tape and a key in the envelope in his pocket. So he tries to use the key to unlock his chains, doesn't work, passes it to Adam, doesn't work on his chains either. At this point, they start MacGyvering a way to get the tape player, the tape recorder, out of the dead man's hand, which I find very amusing.
Which I'll get back to all the way at the end because...
Wait, what?
Because how they get the tape recorder now, they could have...
Oh, yes, but too busy freaking out at that point. But anyways, okay. So yes, they MacGyver, they use their shirt, they use the chain from the bathtub and the plug, and they get the recorder from the body. As Adam is struggling to do it, Dr. Gordon says, "You can do it!" And I automatically remembered Rob Schneider from Big Daddy, just like, "You can do it!"
You think Big Daddy, I think Waterboy, same guy.
There you go.
Same joke.
Same difference. Rob Schneider, that's what comes to mind. So then they play their tapes, and I have written that a super creepy and judgy voice on the tape begins telling Adam that he is a waste of space. And that he might die in this room.
Kind of feel bad for Adam at this point.
He just goes right in, laying right into Adam, telling him that he sucks. When,
I fully expected to be like Adam's dad. Son,
that's going to be the reveal all along with Adam's dad. The judgy voice on Dr. Gordon's tape tells him that he needs to kill Adam, along with a couple of important quotes that will come into play later. Referring to the body in the center of the room, it says, "With that much poison in your blood, the only thing to do is shoot yourself." As well as, "Remember, X marks the spot of the treasure."
Vague enough that nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Exactly. And the judgy voice also threatens Dr. Gordon, saying that they have Allison and Diana, and that they will die if he does not succeed in his task.
By 6 p.m., and it's about noon.
At this point, Dr. Gordon notices that there's a whispered message at the end of the tape. It says, "Follow your heart." They notice that there is a heart drawn in shit on the toilet. And
yes.
This leads Adam to dunk his hands inside the toilet bowl, a nice little homage to Trainspotting. Very disturbing.
Never seen Trainspotting, actually. I haven't seen it.
You don't need to. It's about the most disgusting toilet in Scotland, and it's like he ends up climbing into this toilet. Oh, it's just not a great time.
So it's Obi-Wan that does this? I know Obi-Wan's in this. It's Obi-Wan that does this, or is it?
It's Obi-Wan, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, no, not Obi-Wan. Oh.
Yeah. I had to crawl through the shit like a Shawshank Redemption there. Anyways, Dr. Gordon asks if there is anything. Adam replies, "No solids."
More than I want to know, but okay.
Yep. He then checks the tank. He finds inside a bag and claims, "I really wish I would have checked in there first."
Basically saying out loud what everybody else was thinking. Like, why don't you just check the tank? Like,
Yeah, that's where someone's going to hide something. I mean, I guess you think in that moment, I'm in a real fucked up situation. They probably want me to do the most messed up things right now to try to get out of here. I must have to sort through all this species. Oh, God. Inside the bag, he finds 2 hacksaws. They both begin trying to cut through their chains, and Adam sketchily throws the bag into the bathtub.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Adam breaks his saw, throwing it at the mirror and breaking off a piece of mirror in the process.
Yeah. Oh, well, what happens is he vigorously tries to saw through the chains.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the wrong kind of saw for that, and he breaks it. He breaks the hacksaw, or the blade on the hacksaw, then in frustration just throws it across the room and happens to break a piece of the glass.
Exactly. And that's when Dr. Gordon realizes he doesn't want us to cut through these chains. He wants us to cut through our feet. And this is where you were about to jump into.
Yes. And then Adam says, "Why would somebody want this? Like, I know the guy. Well, he's the serial killer that's been going around time. Well, he actually doesn't kill anybody. He just finds a way for you to kill yourself." And I think at this point it flashbacks to a couple of the other cases of the Jigsaw killer. A gentleman, he apparently had tried to kill himself a couple times, and he goes, "Well, since you don't value your life, now I want you to fight for it." So he puts him like in a chicken coop covered in razor wire, and he says, "All you gotta do is crawl from this wire from the back of the room to the table. To the door, and you have 2 hours to do it. If not, the door will lock and you will die. So if you want to die, just sit there and it'll happen. But if you want to live, you fight to get out. And all credit given to the gentleman. He fought his way through and just didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
It's one of these catch-22 situations. Like, I mean, if you want to live, you basically have to work for it. Like, you're taking your life for granted. You're going to have to now prove that you want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically Jigsaw's ethos. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah. And we find out via the detectives that are at the scene, which also we've now been introduced to the two main detectives on this case, Detective Singh and Detective Tapp, aka Danny Glover.
Murtaugh and the guy from Saw. I mean, the guy from Lost.
Wait, what's the first reference?
Murtaugh. He was Danny Glover was Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon.
Oh, got you.
And then the guy was in Lost. He was one of the castaways, one of the lost people.
How was he on Lost? I don't remember him.
He was part of. Remember when the plane crashed? There was two halves of the plane.
He was in the second half. Okay, got you. I've seen season 1 like 3 times, and all the other seasons once. So I forget.
I had a roommate that was addicted to Saw. And we lived together, and I got into it because he was so into it. I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'll watch it too.
Yeah.
Kind of got into it, then just we finished it, and I was like, I'm never watching this ever again.
Yeah, I can understand that based on the ending. Spoilers for Lost too. Anyways.
Yeah, I feel very disillusioned with this. I'm mad at all this time I spent.
Oh, Lord. So the detectives let us know that the man was only given 2 hours to escape. The trapdoor was set on a timer. We also find out that a jigsaw piece was carved into the victim's back.
Not exactly carved. He removes a piece of skin in the shape of a jigsaw piece.
Okay, thank you for the specifics.
It's a little... Which I don't remember them going over as to the why, but that's... Maybe they do in one of the later movies, and if they do, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, he does... There's a couple other times we see a jigsaw piece, like a calling card that he's left, so I guess that was his calling card there.
Yeah, no, he does it supposedly to all his victims somehow. Like, he removes a little jigsaw piece of skin. Like, it's a mark. Like, if you survive, you'll remember the experience back.
Yay, just what I wanted. More reasons to remember my PTSD. So, at this point, Mr. Judgy from the tapes gets dubbed the Jigsaw Killer by the press. And now we're back to another of his crime scenes. And there's a man that is naked in a room. And Mr. Judgy's tape starts playing. And it seems that this man's name is Mark. And thus the room popped to mind immediately. Oh, hi, Mark. So Mark was claiming that he was sick. It's never really said what his sickness is supposed to be. But now he has a slow-acting poison in his bloodstream, and the antidote is locked in a safe in the room. The combination to the safe is somewhere on the walls, which are absolutely covered in numbers. He's given a tea light, but he's covered in a flammable substance, and he is barefoot with broken glass all around him.
So when they find him, he's basically a burnt little crispy skeleton, like Mortal Kombat. It's just one of these skeletons, and that's basically it. As I was watching this movie, I'm like, it seems like he's plain sick. I'm guessing a workman's comp kind of thing, where he's like supposed to be working, but he's not. You're supposed to be sick, but I have pictures of you all over town or something, which, all right, is not the best thing, but it's kind of extreme to put somebody through this for that. Also, naked, covered in like a greasy wax flammable substance, having to walk on broken glass, in a room full of just numbers written on a wall. There is no way you're going to find out the combination to anything. It's just random numbers written on a wall. Like,
and poison. Like, this guy had no chance. Like, the razor wire one was bad too, but at least it was like one thing you had to defeat.
and it's 2 hours, so you didn't have to go full bore like you did. You know, like they show flashback of him just like diving through a razor wire. I'm like, all right, it's 2 hours. You could have maybe tried to do something. Because he's naked with razor wire, so maybe. But this guy was like, I want you to die because I'm going to stack everything up against you. And I don't fathom anybody maybe getting out of that at all.
Yeah, no, I can't see any, and especially the candle that he gives him is a tea light candle. It's so tiny.
And don't they only last about 15 minutes or something, or
like an hour?
An hour max.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, this guy's not gonna make it.
No.
He
had no chance. Rest in peace, Mark.
And then how do you know? Like you see numbers of 5, 7, 8. How do you know that's 57 or 578 or what? Just you have a better shot just like trying numbers on the safe just on your own without even looking at the wall.
Yeah, most definitely. At least your feet won't be bleeding out.
Exactly, poor guy.
We find out via the detectives that there is a peephole cut in the wall and that Jigsaw likes to watch his victims. At this particular crime scene, he's left a pen light. The detectives order that they take fingerprints from it to figure out who it belongs to. We then cut to a hospital scene with Dr. Gordon. He's explaining the advanced nature of a brain tumor on a patient, and then a character named Sepp walks in and says that he's a very special man. Now, spoilers, as always, we know by the end of the movie that this man lying in the bed is Jigsaw. And we could have at this point, we could have figured out that it was Jigsaw based on the fact that lying in front of him is a drawing of the reverse bear trap that we will see in just moments. Also, this is my plot hole that really frustrates me.
Okay.
He is holding the pen light that he will then plant at Mark's crime scene that they just, dusted for fingerprints to find Dr. Gordon, but the last person touching it with a bare hand was Jigsaw himself. So why didn't they get his prints? And then also, why are Dr. Gordon's prints on file that they were able to find him so quickly?
That's the one I was going to get to. Like, what did he do that he's on file? Like, for what? Like, for your medical license? Is that something? Is that a thing? Or...
So, yeah, that's my big plot hole here. How did they get to Dr. Gordon? Doesn't make sense to me.
And a pen light, the life expectancy of a pen light can be what? A week? 2? Considering he probably used it a bunch? He must run through pen lights like nobody's business. All right, they found a pen light there. Maybe I toss it and they got... There's 20 ways it could have gotten there.
And also when they show it to him, like, is this your pen light? As if he is the only person in the world who has that very generic white pen light.
I'm the only doctor in the hospital who uses this brand of pen light. That's what should have his name on it, described with his address. That would have made at least more sense.
That's what in my memory, in my headcanon, that's what it was that it said on the side, Dr. Gordon, whatever. And no, it's just a plain white pen light, and they run the fingerprints to find him. Makes no sense.
Then the cops, they show up basically saying, all right, you're the murderer. Like, there was no pretense. There was no, like, maybe, there's no real questioning. It's just like, hey, you're the guy. We know you're the guy. And in my mind, you're always going to be the guy. So they take him down to questioning. He happens to have an alibi, which is cheating on his wife. So.
Solid alibi.
Which I always think back to Devil's Advocate with this part, because that's how they get the guy off in Devil's Advocate, is that, all right, we're going to say in court that you're cheating on your wife, so you couldn't have possibly been murdering these people, murdering your kids or whatever, which is what the crime was in the Devil's Advocate. Spoiler for that, too. So, and I think Keanu Reeves says, hey, you'd rather be a cheater than a murderer or something. They're going to hate you for being a cheater, but you know what? They're going to acquit you for being a murderer, because... that's the truth, apparently. Even though that movie happened to not be. Mm-hmm. So, here, same deal. He could not be the Jigsaw killer because he's in a hotel room with his student, I guess.
So
intern?
No, because was that the night that happened? Because that wouldn't make sense because he was kidnapped on that night. So
I don't think it was that night. I think that was maybe they had already been together for a while, because when you do see him and her go to the hotel the night before he gets abducted, mm-hmm. she is right away ready to go. And I'm like, all right, if this is the first time they're getting together, she is a little bit over anxious. So I'm assuming they've already been together a couple times.
But his dialogue makes it seem like this is the first time that they are doing it, because he's like, I should have never asked you here, and things like that. I don't know. It was very confusing to me. So I'm not sure if he's been constantly cheating with this one intern or...
or maybe they had dinner a couple times, and this is the first time they actually got a hotel room, or even though they didn't want to know where he was at 1 a.m, unless they were out at the club, like he's out getting his dance on, maybe.
Oh God, I do not want to picture Carey Elwes getting his groove on at a club. I'm good.
I kind of want to do that. Now that I think about it, I kind of want to imagine it. Just him screaming "As You Wish" at the top of his lungs. It'd be pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, I just picture him dancing like Leonardo DiCaprio at Coachella, and it's not a good time.
He'd be smoother, but still it'll work.
All right. So now that Dr. Gordon is apparently has an alibi, is exonerated from this crime, the detectives ask him to sit through the testimony of the only surviving victim. Her name is Amanda, and Interesting fact, she is the only female victim of Jigsaw in this movie, and she's the only one that survived. It's all men that die in this movie. So she starts to recount what happened to her. She starts off by saying that she woke up in a room and all she could taste was blood and metal. We see her, and she has a bear trap attached to her face. Then beside her, a TV turns on with a video, and this is our first time seeing what I know as Billy the Puppet, but a lot of people call it Jigsaw as well. It's the little puppet version of Jigsaw. And fun facts about this, James Wan actually made the first Billy the Puppet all by himself, the one that you're seeing in this film. He made it with clay and paper mache and 2 black ping pong balls for its eyes, and then its body was made out of paper towel rolls. I find this really fascinating because I took puppetry in college. I am afraid.
All right. It looks like something, not something a kid made, but something a kid made. Like, it looks well made, but still like not movie professional made, or
yeah, it definitely looks homemade, which
yes, homemade.
I think works because we know it's homemade, because Jigsaw was the one who would have had to make this. She is told that the bear trap is on a timer, and that the key to it is in the stomach of her cellmate. She then after she freaks out for a while and pulls out the pin to start the timer, she sees that there is somebody lying on the floor with a question mark drawn on their stomach. There's a knife, and just as she is about to stab him, she sees him stir. He is awake. We find out via the detective that he had an opioid overdose, and thus he could not move or feel anything.
But the videotape does say you're dead, cellmate. Like, that I rewound today on purpose.
Oh, I missed that.
So, like, he sets her up. All right, it's a dead body, so I still don't want to do it, but it makes it easier when she goes over there to him, even though she still can't see him starting to stir before she does the initial stab. And I think she has, a minute or a minute and a half to get the...
It looked like a minute on the timer.
To get the timer off, so it's go time. So she stabs him a bunch.
I question this, because by the time she starts stabbing him, it's like 30 seconds too.
Oh, yeah.
How on earth do you disembowel someone and find a key in their gut within 30 seconds? Less than 30 seconds, because she has to then get the key into the lock with bloody hands.
Yeah, bloody, nothing slips, no bloody, no slipping hand, just they didn't get the lock off just in time for it to snap open, because it's a reverse bear trap, so it snaps open, not closed. But she does.
Somehow she does manage. And then once she survives, Billy the Puppet rides in on his tricycle, and he tells her, most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore.
That's chilling. That little phrase just gives me chills every time I hear it. When the cops are then talking to her, and he's like, why do you think he paid you? Because you're a drug addict or something? He goes, she just looks at them and says,
he helped me.
So spoiler for the rest of the series, but she comes back.
Yeah, that was the shocking thing to me in Saw 2, and it was quite interesting. But we won't spoil that yet. We'll get there next episode. So at this point, we flash back to the bathroom. Adam's having a little hissy fit because he thinks that Dr. Gordon knows more than he does, which, I mean, he did. It's at this point that he picks up the shard of glass from the mirror to threaten Gordon with. I'm not really sure what he's going to do, as they cannot reach each other. They're changing opposite sides of the room. But
I laugh at that part every time. If you don't tell me right now, I'm going to stab you. And I'm like, how?
How? I am going to throw this in your general direction and hope it stabs you.
Like, if you could stab him, you could leave.
He then discovers that this shard of mirror, well, this mirror is a double-sided mirror. So he starts throwing some tiles or scrap at it, I guess, until he breaks the mirror.
Yeah, the unlimited pile of broken tiles that you only see when he needs to throw it at something. Because they're never there. But then when he needs to throw some, there's always like 2 or 3 little pieces he can throw. And the rest of the movie, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. So he smashes the rest, and we see that behind this mirror, there's a video camera. We then cut to the feed from the video camera, and we hear a voice that is not the same voice as Mr. Judgy saying hi, and that he's watching them.
Which is a little misleading. Like, he acts that way, I think, for us, rather than for the situation.
Sorry?
That makes... I think Zep, which you find out Zep, he says that kind of stuff to basically for us, for me and you, or for the audience, than for what he's doing, because he is, as you find out later, basically another person in the trap. He's acting very creepy, like it's his idea.
Yeah.
Up until it's time for it not to be his idea.
That's the thing, is that, like, we'll get into it, like, just shortly of him being a creep, but, like, he's being real creepy, and it doesn't really make sense for the fact that he's a victim. But anyways, we have...
And just, you don't have no answer for this now. Why did he even get picked for this? Like, you kind of could get other people's things, like, but why you? Like,
yeah.
And how would you murdering a family make you value your life more?
Yeah, I really, really don't get his one. And I mean, at the end of the movie, we don't get much of an explanation for it at all. We have a great Adam Line the Fourth. Can you hear me in there? I'm having a blast. This is the most fun I've had without lubricant.
Yes.
That is one I quote in my day-to-day life. I really enjoy it.
Hey, Adam's nothing but a charmer. I tell you, that guy, he has a good time.
He definitely does, as seen in the greatest quote of all time that I will tell later. Adam then asks Dr. Gordon if he's worried about his wife and kid, but it was not revealed that Allison and Diana were his wife and kid yet to Adam.
Oh, but he would know because he was taking his picture.
Yeah.
He was taking the picture.
So foreshadowing there, if you pay attention, he shouldn't know that it's his wife and kid. He should be asking who's Allison and Diana. But anyways.
But no, he does know. He just should act like he doesn't know because he's been tailing this guy for a while now.
Yeah, but, Adam, as we can see, is not a great actor.
No, not even.
We will see that plenty of times throughout. All right.
Decent American accent, though. Not for nothing.
I did not know that he was Australian until I did my research today.
Decent American accent. Yeah, him and James Wan both. Yeah, met in film school. So it's
yeah.
As the resident American here, I guess I am the one to put my stamp on this.
American accent detour. I was watching The Bachelor last night, and I have a bone to pick about American accents. Why is it that when you want to say real or feel, you say real or fill?
I don't. That might be a regional one. Cause real, feel. Yeah, no, that's not me. But might be a southern thing. Where was this? Either
every single person on The Bachelor, they all do it.
And they usually come from different parts of the country.
It's usually like California and like Tennessee are the main one you get.
Well, that one I can't say.
I don't know. That one was really because those are things that they say a lot. Like, this is so real, and I really feel. I'm like, please stop, please.
Maybe it's the millennial accent because I'm sure these people are younger, so I can say that.
All that vocal fry.
Exactly. Yeah. It's too much TikTok. I blame TikTok for this. This is too many WAP dances.
Oh, no. Okay, let's go back, and we actually are going back because the next scene is a flashback. Diana wakes up, that's Gordon's daughter, and she says that there is a man in her room. He talked to me. Allison, the wife, she's trying to console her daughter, but she wants her father to protect the room. We see that Dr. Gordon is at his laptop, busily typing, only half paying attention, and then he goes to comfort his daughter, which is kind of a sweet scene, a little bit.
Yeah, because you think it's going to go one way. You think he's just going to, like, I'm too busy. But the second his wife's like, I'm fed up with this, he's like, all done, let's go.
Yeah.
We get him being a good dad, like he actually loves his daughter. Like, hey, they don't show him checking the room out, but apparently they do. Because he gets her in bed. It's like, as you saw, there's nobody in here. So I don't know where the guy hid because he was there. So I don't know where he hid when he checked the room
we see in just a moment where he hid. But
okay. So he checked the room out, then he plays around, consoles her, then he gets a page, like it's 1998. And he looks at his pager.
Doctors have pagers, I can confirm.
They do. But in 2004,
my boyfriend, who is a radiation therapist, he has a pager for his job.
Okay, then there that goes. All right. I figured the pages went away now. I thought it was over now.
They still have them. So, if you're a drug dealer or you're a doctor, you gotta have a pager.
I don't know if drug dealers have them anymore because
I don't know.
Burner phones. It's all about burner phones.
I guess.
That's it.
I guess for the drug dealers, but maybe some of them want to kick it old school. You never know.
Exactly, the classics. They never go. They never go away.
We then leave the flashback with Gordon and his wife Allison having a fight. Clearly an unhappy marriage. Adam then asks for a picture of Dr. Gordon's family, and Dr. Gordon throws over his wallet. And Jeff, what does he find inside?
He finds not only a picture of his wife and daughter, but a second picture of his wife and daughter tied up like a Polaroid.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a quick little side before I continue. Mm-hmm. Dr. Gordon is the worst because...
Please state your case.
Okay. How you wake up in a dark room, right? Dark room. He never checked his pocket to find the original tape, and he was apparently up way before Adam because he's just speaking in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can't turn the light on. Oh, wait, here's a light switch 2 inches away from my head that I apparently didn't even try to reach for when I was laying here in the dark for Lord knows how long. He also never decided to put his hands in his pockets just because maybe I want to see if my keys are there or my cell phone to call somebody, even though it's probably not in there. But he would have found the tape.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't open his wallet to look at something, like anything. Like, he could have found these clues himself. Like, he could have found the tape himself, could have found the light switch hours earlier himself, or however long he was up awake. And I'm like, he wants to get out of the situation, but he's like pouty the whole time?
Yeah, until the very end, and then he's just like yelling at Adam for not figuring out more shit. But he's just been pretty useless most of the time. I can agree with that.
Stopping his feet the whole time. Like, where's my wife? Wham, wham, wham. Stomp, stomp, stomp. And I'm like, I get it. It's cool. He just sits there the whole movie like, I gotta cut my foot off. Because that's the only thing he ever says, though. Well, he just come up with a couple plans later.
He's not a great problem solver, that one. Don't know how he got his doctorate degree.
Man, that residency had to have been rough. But,
oh my gosh. Imagine he's just like the doctor from Arrested Development. Like, keeps on performing all these extraneous like surgeries. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do an appendix removal on you. What's my appendix burst? No, we're just gonna do it in case. Oh, we left a sponge in there, so now we have to go.
Now we have to go back. Well, he has no bedside manner because I think that's why he was originally picked. Because the way he's talking about Jigsaw John, this guy, he just came in for a regular checkup and we found colon cancer, and then it happened to be in his brain, and he ain't gonna make it. It's inoperable, and there's nothing we could do. I know he's laying right here, but whatever.
He's not a human. He's just a patient.
Patient so and so. Oh, his name is John. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so keep on talking.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Gordon's just like a mix between the doctor from Arrested Development and the one from Scrubs that like just does not give a shit.
Yeah, but he's the one from Scrubs, like he does care beneath it all. You have to break down some walls or something. But this guy was just like, whatever. I'm here, going on my student intern residency girl, whatever.
Dr. Gordon, the original Dr. Death. All right, so Adam does find this Polaroid of a gagged and a bound Amanda and Diana, and on the front it says regards with the jigsaw piece. That's where we see it here. He turns it around, and on the back it says X marks the spot. Sometimes you see more with your eyes shut.
Adam tells Dr. Gordon, or Lawrence Gordon, 2 first names, and tells him, all right, turn the lights off. Why? Just do it. Why? Because. Why? And he does, and there's an X on one of the tiles close to where Dr. Gordon is. So turns the lights back on, breaks it open with the little handsaw, and there's a little box, and the box is locked. The key, Adam has the key from earlier that was in Dr. Gordon's pocket that he didn't notice for the longest. And then when they open it up, there's a couple cigarettes in there, and the little note says, Dr. Gordon, shh, you don't need a gun to kill Adam.
The direct quote here. I definitely wrote it all out. So it says, shh, Dr. Gordon, the cigarettes are harmless, I promise. Smoking is only poisonous when it ends in bloodshed. Think about this. You don't need a gun to kill Adam.
How awesome would it have been if the cigarettes are harmless? I promise. Winky face emoji. Well, back then it would have been an emoticon, but still.
But originally when Adam first finds the Polaroid, he actually hides it from Dr. Gordon. And we then get a flashback back to Dr. Gordon fighting with his wife. I wrote Gordon throughout my entire notes, so that's why I keep saying Dr. Gordon, because I forgot that was not his first name.
It's felt weird whenever they called him Larry. Like, he doesn't seem like a Larry. Lawrence, I see, but Larry?
I know, but also Lawrence was too long to write, and then I didn't want to just say Larry. I should have, but oh well. We flash back to him fighting with his wife. He leaves, and then the closet in Diana's bedroom creaks open, and we see a close-up on just an eye inside of the closet, and we hear, "Good night, little girl," and then
creep.
Yeah, and then Diana screams as the door bursts open. Amanda rushes in. Not Amanda. Sorry, Allison. Imagine if Amanda rushed in at that moment.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been interesting. Allison rushes in to see a blanketed figure attacking her daughter. So, interesting fact, a lot of the scares in this movie were inspired by Leigh Whannell and James Wan's nightmares as children, and this was one of their nightmares of having the boogeyman in their closet. We now flash forward slightly to see that both Allison and Diana are tied up and bound. They are being threatened with a gun, and the assailant is listening to their heart rates with a stethoscope, which is so unnecessary and so creepy. He's not tracking their heart rates for anything. He's not reporting this to Jigsaw. He's just doing it for fun.
And doesn't he like point the gun at one of them and then he hears it again to hear it speed up?
Yep, exactly. Like he'll point it at the daughter and like listen to the mom's heartbeat, and then like point it at the mom, listen to the daughter's heartbeat, and you're just like, why is this necessary? Are you just bored?
And yet he's a victim, apparently.
Apparently. Maybe that's like, no, that doesn't make sense. I was going to be like, maybe he was already a serial killer and that's why he became a victim. But that's
I'm thinking maybe he was a creeper and that's why he's in this.
I don't know, man.
Because he creep level through the roof, this guy, like the entire movie until the end,
Yeah. Speaking of creeps, we then cut across the street to Detective Danny Glover, who is spying on Dr. Gordon's house and sees Zepp looking out the window. We then cut to his apartment, which looks like the meme of Charlie Day with all the red string everywhere. There's just articles and photos related to the case absolutely everywhere. He's repeating over and over again to himself, never should have let you go. He's clearly obsessed with Dr. Gordon and this case.
Yeah, and he is convinced 100% that Dr. Gordon is the Jigsaw killer, which we know he's not. It didn't show why he's this obsessed yet.
Yeah, well, we actually get the flashback to him when he was still a detective at this point, and it's him watching that tape of Billy the Puppet and rewinding it over and over again, paying extra close attention to all the things that are happening. And he notices that on one of the walls there's a gang sign and graffiti, so that narrows down the neighborhood for him and his partner. And then they hear very faintly a fire alarm going off in the background. So then they track down all the fire alarms that went off in the last whatever amount of time. And they find one particular building in the area that makes sense. And Jeff, did you notice that it's an old mannequin warehouse? And this led me to wonder, do you think that Laurie Strode struck up a deal with Jigsaw to get all those mannequins in the latest
Halloween? Might have, because she did get them somewhere, and she got them wholesale, and this place
was just full of mannequins. So
I had a bunch, and he does need money to fund his little projects,
right? So that's my headcanon.
Makes perfect sense to me. And she needed practice dummies for her crazy lady house out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
To fill her house and her backyard with.
Exactly. So that's my headcanon. Jigsaw sold Laurie Strode all those mannequins.
What kind of gang is this? Their area was 4 blocks long, 4 blocks radius, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what they said.
Yeah, that gang, they're real tiny. Don't they have better things to do than just tag up on their little 4 by 4 foot area that they have to? I don't know. I just found it kind of strange that the gang that the cops would know off the top of their heads would be so tiny or so
have such small scope.
Exactly, such a tiny little area. Just like, why? How would you know? There's probably 7 dudes in this thing, and
well, also when they cut to the map, it's a map of DC, so maybe it's a gang of politicians, and that's why they're so lame.
It might be.
Okay, that's our other headcanon, that there is a gang of politicians that have a 4-block radius in DC. Beware.
Random 4 block in the warehouse district.
In the warehouse district, yeah.
Because there's really nothing there but warehouses. So I don't know what they were I don't know what they were controlling in that 4 block radius. Besides abandoned warehouses.
It's ridiculous. But what's also ridiculous is that they decide to go in without a warrant or a backup to go after a fucking serial killer.
Yeah, because Danny Glover's partner says, "Hey, you think we need a warrant? Screw a warrant, we're going now." Yeah. It's like the 80s cop movie part. See, he fell into Murtaugh again. It was just like, all right, Riggs, we're gonna go. Riggs was his partner in Lethal Weapon.
Danny Glover makes surprisingly worse choices than Dr. Gordon throughout. I mean, he is even more useless, possibly.
I'll get to this part later, man. He is horrible. He can't shoot. Well, neither can Zach.
Oh, I have so many. Okay, so my next comment is that Danny Glover sticks his ass out way too far while trying to be sneaky and sneaking around this warehouse. He also does not have his gun at the ready, ever.
No, never ready. So then we meet Jeff when they get to the warehouse.
It's Jeff.
It's Jeff under a sheet. I've watched the movie 10 times. Today's the day. Remember the guy's name, and it's my name, which I figure I should have known this already. But it's like, hey, oh Jeff, you woke up. So they find a man under a sheet.
Mm-hmm. Which also, okay, so they first uncover several other things that were under these really nice velvet red sheets. What is Jigsaw's budget here?
Very nice.
He's really making money on those mannequins.
It's funny because they actually get into his finances like in part like 5. They do talk about it. Like, I think they even ask themselves, like, all right, why? How can this guy afford to do this stuff? Even though the stuff looks very homemade and generic, like very Home Depot construction. Like, one, how does he know how to do it? And 2, where does he get the money for these warehouses and these places to lock these people up? And the traps coming up are ridiculous. But they actually answer that in like the 5th one or the 4th one. They answer it eventually.
Well, I can't wait for that. I really need to know how on earth he's affording all of this, paying rent to multiple places, or maybe he's squatting in multiple places. I don't know. But under these velvet blankets, they see a miniature scene of the bathroom, the belly of the puppet, pig head mask, and then Jeff. Yeah,
under a velvet sheet, very comfortable. So they pull the sheet off him, and then they hear a noise. So then they cover him back up again.
Yeah, but what's happened to Jeff? Like, what is?
They don't go into why he's there.
No, not why, but like
what
describe.
He's trying to I don't know why he's there, because they don't get into his sins or whatever Jigsaw's punishing this guy for. He's chained or tied to a chair with 2 drills on either side of his head.
Yeah.
With the sheet covering his head. So maybe it's like, you're not paying attention enough, so you need to air out your brain. I don't know. I haven't thought of it. I haven't thought ahead of it yet, but I'm sure there's you like to drill to the truth. Let's see if it drills to your brain to find the real truth of whether or not you want to live. Something.
But
I don't know if the tape was recorded yet.
I also find it fascinating that Jeff is the only victim that we know of that Jigsaw interacts with before he's tortured. But
it sounds like it was a surprise. Like, oh, you're awake. Huh, I should have used more sedative.
Yeah, it's like Jeff's been here for a while and, we've been hanging out. An old pal.
Watching a movie or 2, just... Maybe
Jeff's just his friend that, they watch movies together and hang out. Everyone needs a friend named Jeff, okay?
That's true, and I could vouch for that. As being the friend named Jeff to a couple people, it kind of works. They cover back up, which I get why, and I don't get why they do it.
No, I don't get it at all, because they could have got the jump on him, because he's coming up in an elevator, like one of those ancient fucking elevators. Anyways, Singh is arguing. He's saying, I don't know why we're doing this. Danny Glover says, I want to see what he'll do. But they already have so much evidence. They know this is the guy. They know he's a serial killer. They saw Billy the Puppet, so they know it's the same guy. We should just, the only aim here is to take him down. Why are you waiting to see what he'll do? You know what he'll do? Kill Jeff.
Yes, and nobody wants Jeff to die. Nobody needs that.
Right? But then what happens?
I love it because he's dressed up fancy in his nice velvet, red and black velvet robe with a hood. Mm-hmm. So nice. It's almost like he doesn't want anybody to see him in his empty room, because Jeff would have been covered with the sheet, and there was technically nobody supposed to be there, but he just walks around in his spare time in a velvet robe with a hood up for reasons. And then, I'm just picturing that in my head now. It's just like him on the weekend. It's just like flip-flops, just walking around with a red velvet hood. But
I have a really nice soft plushy robe, but maybe I need to invest in one of these velvet robes.
Maybe they're a lot more comfortable than you would think, Or so they get the drop on him. They're gonna arrest him, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. And in the process of that, he somehow starts up the trap and the drill start. Is it either gonna say arrest me or save Jeff? And I vote for save Jeff. So
as do I. But it would be nice if they were able to do both, if
somehow. It's not like there was only one cop. Oh, wait, no, there's 2 of them. Hold on. Wait.
There's 2 of them, but Danny's too distracted watching what Detective Singh is doing.
It's great because how do I get him out of here? There's a key. Which key? There's one of these 1,000 keys on this key ring over here. So you kind of see what the trap was going to be in a way. Like, pick the key that's going to get you out of this. Jeff. So, he actually tries to play the game of the key for a while. And this Detective Singh, he was too good to live, because he's the first one who says, I have a gun. Hold on. These are just drills. Wait. That's
the first not useless member of the entire cast, Detective Singh.
Exactly. Like, he tries for a little while, and he's like, wait, I'm an idiot. Hold on. If I shoot these drill bits, guess what won't happen? Jeff gets to keep his head. So
Oh, Lord.
During that time, Jigsaw runs away, which pretty spry for a guy riddled with cancer.
But before he runs, he slashes Danny's throat with a concealed knife.
I did that after.
No,
Okay.
that's his first thing is that he slashes his throat and then he runs and then Danny's bleeding out. So Singh runs after Jigsaw with the shotgun and he manages to shoot him once and Jigsaw goes down and then
keeps on moving. Then there's a tripwire. Which Singh, and this one, I forgive Singh for this one because it's, in the heat of the moment, you're not going to notice this and you don't know it's there. Springs a trap, and it's 5, 6 double barrel shotguns on a roof, on a ceiling pointing down.
Mm-hmm. And what I noticed this time is that there's spider webs like right above where the trap wire is to distract you. But what I want to know is like Jigsaw was just like, doing some acrobatics around these spider webs and the wire at the same time to make sure that he didn't trip anything up and the trap was still set.
Well, as part of his treatment, he does practice for Ninja Warrior. So that's like as part of his course when he's running through these hallways, he's jumping and flipping and stuff.
Okay.
And that's how he stays spry with his, cancer, between his chemo and whatnot, or whatever treatment Dr. Gordon is probably not giving him.
Watch out for Jigsaw in the next Mission Impossible movie.
Exactly. He's gonna be the next villain.
Oh man.
Fighting Ethan Hunt.
Okay, but then sadly Detective Singh is murdered with several shotguns and Jigsaw gets back up and walks away. We then flash back to Detective Danny in his apartment and he's full on lost it. He's talking to photos of Detective Singh.
Dr. Gordon.
And
Singh, we're gonna get him. Singh,
Singh.
That's right. We're gonna do it.
Oh man! And now we're back in the bathroom.
Yes. Is this Dr. Gordon hissy fit time, which I want to write?
Yeah. I was. My note here is that Dr. Gordon is in his second unhappy marriage apparently with Adam. It seems.
Yes.
They're bickering back and forth, and until Dr.
For no reason. This is the best part.
Yeah.
How did you know? Because I just wanted to try something. But how? I just wanted to try it. But
well, that's after. First they're bickering because he like sees Adam looking into the tub and he's like, "What are you doing over there?" Like, he's just on his case. And he's like, I don't have to tell you everything I'm doing every second by second. And like they're just fighting like an old married couple. Exactly. And he's like, "Don't keep me in the dark." And that's when Adam goes, "Aha, dark. You need to turn out the lights." Then we know what happens there. And then more bickering.
Oh yeah, the bickering is like, "How did you know?" Like, you said dark. I thought we should. Adam is literally saying what any person would say. I just wanted to try something. We haven't done anything in a while, so we would try something new or something. Like, no, but you knew turning this light off would make the X show up. He had the clue, but we know that Dr. Gordon doesn't because he never checks his pockets for anything apparently.
Oh man,
he gets on his face over it. He's like, "Why didn't you show this to me before?" Well, he finally said, "You know what? Fine, I didn't know. Here, this is what I knew." So in the picture of his wife and daughter tied up and gagged. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you show me this? Like, I just couldn't. Which is like an actual quote unquote nice thing to do. Like, we don't need you losing your mind because there's a picture. Yeah, like I want to save you this. When that's nice. So then they make up, I guess, because he stops bickering, and then he starts crying.
So what else they've done in the meantime? They found their box. They know that there's a cell phone, a cigarette, so 2 cigarettes, and a bullet in the box along with that note. They discover the cell phone can't make any outgoing calls, and then we get a flashback because Gordon suddenly remembers how this all happened. He remembers that he was walking through a parking garage, apparently away from the hospital, and we see a flash of a camera and then hear it recharging. Gordon gets out and drives his car slightly through the parking lot and then gets out to try to make a call, but he can't because there's no signal for the cell phone. It's then that we see in a mirror that Jigsaw crawls out of the back of his car wearing a pig mask and then attacks Gordon.
And that's basically how they got Gordon here.
Mm-hmm. And then this is where we get the 5th best line from Adam, which is, Gordon's screaming at him and saying, "What else aren't you telling me?" Then Adam goes on a nice long rant. How does he do this when he's in a life or death situation? He just pulls out the sass. He says, On my 6th birthday, my best friend at the time, Scott Tibbs, stabbed me with a rusty nail. I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you that my last girlfriend, who was a feminist vegan punk, broke up with me because she thought I was too angry. I haven't told you that one of my toenails is slightly, and that's when Gordon finally cuts him off and is like,
all right, I'm done.
All the sass. I love Adam so much.
It's almost like he wrote his own lines. It's weird how that works.
So great. But then, so at this point, Dr. Gordon realizes he needs to kill Adam, quote unquote. So he secretly dips the cigarette in the blood. He then turns out the lights and he whispers something to Adam before turning the lights back on.
Actually, not so secretive, because you see him going over, looking at the camera, dipping the cigarette into the blood a bunch of can you see me doing this to camera? Look at what I'm doing.
Secretly to Adam, because Adam is head in hands, distressed because of the Polaroid situation.
Yeah.
And their unhappy marriage,
Yeah, his marriage is falling apart, so it kind of makes sense. He's sad. He just wants to work on things. So then he turned the light off, which I don't know why. They could whisper with the lights on.
Yeah, I guess he didn't want him to read his lips, if anything.
I don't know, that camera, based on the...
such a bad camera, I know. But maybe he thought they had a high-def video feed.
Maybe the mic will still work with the lights off. It's not like it's controlled by the lights, but whatever. And even you turn the lights off just makes it sound like... Because you see Zip start to fiddle with the controls to try to make the volume go up, I'm guessing. Because he's trying what are they saying? I can't make it out.
Yeah, you're just alerting them that, you're doing something suspicious.
I wonder if they're up to something sneaky now when they turn the lights off and are whispering. Maybe not. So the lights come on and go, oh, so, Adam, you still want that cigarette, good buddy, pal?
With the best acting from both of them throughout the entire movie in this scene.
Good buddy, old pal. It's not like we were just arguing 2 minutes ago, but you want that cigarette, friend? Here you go.
Yep.
Tosses him a cigarette.
He tosses him the cigarette, but not the one that he dipped in blood.
Yes, you see him you see them both in the little box. You see him reach in. I love how obvious he doesn't make this, because he stares at the camera for a while, slowly puts his hand in the box, and then takes the one that he didn't dip in the blood, and then tosses it over to him. And
then we ensue with some really, truly fantastic overacting by Adam, who pretends to die after smoking the cigarette.
It's great. It's like a 5-year-old when they're playing dead or something. It's just putting his arm up and stiff.
I know.
It's great.
It was everything except for the I've already died. Oh wait, no, I'm back, and then I'm dead again.
Or the old kick your legs up and twitch when you're already down, his last gasp. That's the only thing that was missing. No, he does do the last gasp. He does do that.
He does. Oh, it's really glorious. But then unfortunately, Adam's electrocuted through the chain, and the roost is broken.
And I love it because then Dr. Gordon just gets mad at him. You couldn't do one thing. You just had to do one thing, and you had to screw this up.
Buddy, I was electrocuted. And he's like, you just mess up everything, Adam. That's why this marriage isn't working.
Exactly. You're no good at anything. If you're not the man I married. This is great. He's just so dismissive the whole time. Did you hear what I said? It doesn't matter what you said. You just ruined everything.
And then this somehow sparks the flashback of Adam realizing how he was abducted. So we see, is that when we see Adam taking the picture of Dr. Gordon? I think maybe that.
No, because they show this part twice. They show him walking into his apartment.
Yeah, this is just him walking into his shithole apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
His shithole apartment, yeah.
And he's rocking.
He wasn't wrong.
No, it's not. It's not a great apartment. But
it is huge. I'll give him that.
No, that's fair.
I blame him for the shittiness of it, because he could have decorated it nice, I guess. But
tried to paint on those moldy walls.
Something,
Anyways, Adam's rocking a Discman for the youngins. In case you didn't know, that's how we used to listen to music.
Yes, it was great. I caught that one. I was like, hey, I had 2 of those in my life. All right.
Yeah.
A couple of those.
And I'm like, how did I used to fit them in pockets of things? I can barely fit my cell phone in my pocket nowadays. But anyway.
You would buy jackets with big pockets. That's what I would do. I'm like, all right, let's see. I need to that would be a consideration when I buy jackets back then. All right, I go to school with my Discman, so it needs to fit in this pocket. All right, it kind of fits.
The old days. But anyways, so he comes home, goes into his dark room, and he's developing pictures of Dr. Gordon. He then wakes up sometime later in the dark room, but there are no lights working, and even his flashlight is dead. So then we get what I think is one of the coolest scenes ever, where he's
very cool.
lighting his way with the flash of the camera and just the eeriness of only being able to see when there's the flash and then having to listen to the slow recharging of the camera. It's brilliant.
I think that's what makes it work, is the noise of the slow recharge.
Mm-hmm. It's just absolutely brilliant and really, really creepy. We then start hearing what I call is like a Halloween like character laugh, like, you know, the stupid animatronics you get at Halloween, and then like they have that one very specific laugh. That's what you start hearing. And Adam whips around, takes a picture, and sees that Billy the puppet is sitting in his apartment. He then hears a noise in the closet. He's been calling out the entire time saying that he knows someone's there, and he opens up the closet. He has a baseball bat in hand that he had just beat the puppet with. And then he goes and takes a picture, and that's when Jigsaw in the pig mask jumps him.
And then that's how Adam gets his way into the bathroom.
Yeah.
The industrial bathroom, or whatever it's going to be called now. I don't know what to call it. But
very bizarre bathroom.
Very bizarre. That's something I've thought since like the third or fourth time I watched the movie. Like, what was this bathroom used for during Better Days? I was like, I'm going to keep on going back to it because I can't sort it out.
I've never really considered it, but you're right. They're just very strange bathroom. But we're back in the bathroom now, and the cell phone is ringing. So,
and it's the wife, right, Allison?
First, it's the daughter, and she's crying, and it's really sad.
And Dr. Gordon apparently loses it.
Yeah.
Is your mom there? Put your mom. Even then, he doesn't want to talk to his daughter that much because literally his first thing, "Are you okay? No. Put your mother on. Is she there?"
Exactly. And then what does the wife tell him?
Adam knows you already. Don't believe him. He knows you from before this.
Yeah. Exactly. So then starts more bickering.
This is the only justified argument that I can give him. My wife just calls saying the guy's name. Why does she know Adam? She shouldn't know Adam. Why is she saying don't trust Adam, that he knows me already? Does she know Adam? Like, I kind of get this one.
Yeah.
A little bit.
This one it makes the most sense. But my real question in this scene is why when he gets more and more distressed, does he sound more and more vaguely British?
His accent wavers more than
Adam's. I don't know what's happening, but he sounds really weird and vaguely British. Also, another interesting fact. So
he is British, so it makes sense. But
I just don't know anyone's nationality. Clearly, I did not know that.
Actual voice. That's like his actual speaking voice is Princess Bride. Like Wesley is how he talks.
Huh. I thought that was him putting on an accent. See, I know nothing. Anyway. Another interesting fact, speaking of him being distressed, so to show the emotions of both characters, James Wan would shoot Dr. Gordon with a Steadicam, and he would shoot Adam with a handheld camera to show the more erratic emotions of Adam. I think that's pretty cool.
Yes, and Carey Elwes was born in Westminster, London, England.
Okay, so that's why he sounds vaguely British while upset.
Yeah, which is why the joke is in Robin Hood Men in Tights, and I have an actual British accent because it's a speaking voice. Like he actually does have one. It's a dig at Kevin Costner, and it's the truth. Yeah, so I guess like maybe when he's trying to emote too much, it dips into his real voice.
Well, also I found out through my research that they did not rehearse any of the scenes, and a lot of like them just rehearsing is the footage in the film. So maybe they didn't get another take of him screaming.
The thing about it, they had $7 to film this. They didn't want to pay Carey Elwes that much, so
I mean,
or couldn't. Maybe they wanted to, but they couldn't.
He sued them because they didn't pay him enough.
Yeah, because I think he was supposed to get money off the back end and didn't.
Yeah,
or something.
He was supposed to get 1% off the back end, but the film made $100 million. I think it was.
Probably that thing was a huge hit when it came out.
Anyways, so he didn't get the money he was promised, and thus he sued them, and that's why he didn't appear in any of the films until the very last one, I think.
Yes, he comes back in the last one. You knew that. I was going to keep that one to myself.
Yes, because I don't know anything except for that one spoiler that I read today.
Yeah, because it's a real big surprise that movie is like when he shows up, like, oh my God, what is
what are you doing here? Do you have your books or no? Anyways, okay, so Dr. Gordon confronts Adam at this point, saying that he knows that he's lying. Adam admits that he's been following him and taking photos, that he knows that Dr. Gordon wasn't at the hospital the night that they were kidnapped. He followed him from home to a shipbag hotel. He throws the photos at Dr. Gordon that he found with the hacksaw originally in the toilet tank.
Oh, side note, during this time he goes, yeah, I make money following rich guys like you cheating on their wives like you were doing. But that was a pretty shitty motel he was in if he's a rich guy.
They just went to the seediest motel to do the seediest deeds, apparently, because we get this flashback and we see Dr. Gordon in this apparent hotel, but it looks like a motel. Well, I guess motels, the difference between hotel and motel is that motels are open on the outside, like the rooms have individual doors that are outside, and then a hotel, you have hallways. So I guess they are a hotel.
That's the difference? Wow.
Yeah.
It actually looks like I don't know if they have these in Canada, what we call short stays. Mm-hmm. It looked like a hotel with that the rates are by the hour, not by the day.
Yep.
It's basically just a room with a bed in it. And
somehow a phone, and like somewhere that you need to shower after you've stepped foot in.
I don't know if you would want to shower in that hotel, but still.
Not in the hotel. Like maybe you just want to pour yourself gasoline over yourself after that and light yourself on fire, because
that would make more sense. Yeah. Yes.
So we get some dialogue between Dr. Gordon and the resident, implying that they have been cheating, etc. Then the phone rings. It's for Dr. Gordon, and the voice on the phone says, "I know what you're doing, doctor," and then hangs up. All right, we're back in the bathroom, and Adam reveals that the man who hired him is Detective Danny.
Because you think the whole movie is Jigsaw, because he presses them a lot. Like, who hired you? Who? You have to tell me. It's some guy. Who guy? What guy? I don't know his name. Yes, you do. Stop lying to me, Adam. The bickering doesn't stop with these two. No,
they're in a very unhappy marriage.
It's just a big black guy. And then I love the shot of Danny Glover walking out from the shadows to reveal himself.
Yeah. It's like own like intro to an action movie, like. But then we get the greatest line Adam has in the entire movie, which is, "What do you care what I think anyway? I don't give a crap if you covered yourself in peanut butter and had a 15-hooker gangbang."
Not for nothing. That is an epic line.
Where does your mind go, Adam? What are his kinks? That is my question.
I think we got a little glimpse, like a little peek behind the curtain of what goes on.
Lord.
But it does stop the argument right then and there. You shouldn't care what I'm doing. You're right.
Yeah, I didn't know you knew that thing about the peanut butter, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you guessed that one out of nowhere. He had been taking pictures of him for a while. Maybe
he saw him stocking up at Costco on the peanut butter.
And maybe like, why is he buying so much peanut butter and 15 hookers? Really? All right.
Whatever floats your boat. It's then that Adam discovers in one of his photos that Zepp is at Dr. Gordon's apartment looking out the window. We then get the full reveal that Zepp is the one that is keeping Dr. Gordon's family hostage. We also find out now that we're out of time. It is 6 p.m.
And then Zepp gets a gun that's like 2 times bigger than his hand, like too big for him to hold.
Yeah.
And goes, it's time to murder this wife and daughter, whatever. Okay, let's do this. But he seems very about this. Like, all right, it's go time. He goes up to him to kill him, but then he has to call Dr. Gordon first. Like for her, you have to tell him that he failed. Here you go.
But he doesn't know that she has already broken free of her bond. She's just pretending she's still tied up.
Which there's a lot of like playing possum in this. But anyway, so she's acting like she says, "You failed." And then, which is like one of the worst things to say to your husband on the phone.
I mean, she's like, "You failed at this marriage and I want a divorce after this. Not only are you cheating on me, but you got me and my daughter kidnapped. I am done."
Well, believe me, I'm going to attack her in a minute. Then she wrestles the gun away from Zeb, points it to him, passing the phone. They, "Honey, Lord Larry, where are you? I'm being held captive. Leave. We need you." I'm like, wait, did you hear him? He's being held captive, like in his room, and like chained to something. Like he tells her, "I don't care where you are. We need you here right now." He's
lying. "I know you're at that seedy motel again."
"I know where you are. Why don't you just come home to your wife and daughter?" So is that when he gets electrocuted?
He soon is to be electrocuted, but first Zepp goes after the gun again, and then they start struggling over the gun. Shots are fired, and this alerts Detective Danny that something's going on. So because
he's been across the street all movie.
Yeah, and he apparently gets down however many floors his apartment is, and then gets across the street and up however many floors, all within, I would say, 2 minutes. By the time that we see that he realized that shots were fired, pretty much Allison's stabbing Zepp in the leg with a pair of scissors, and then Danny's there to help.
And he has a gun, and he starts shooting at Zepp, and he's like on the ground, stabbed in the leg. He misses every shot.
Yep.
All of them. And Zepp is shooting back at him, also misses. And I love Danny Glover hiding behind a little beam, a quarter of his size. He's just like hiding behind it, and Zepp still can't shoot him.
Yeah.
Zepp's in the open. He's in the open on the ground, bleeding bleeding out from a leg.
He hits a better shot than Danny. It's just insanity. But at least it causes enough of a distraction that Allison and Diana slip away.
Yes. And then that's when Zeb goes, it's time for me to go kill your husband.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Gordon, it shows him on the line still listening to all this screaming, and he's just losing his shit progressively more and more.
The one time I forgave him for it, because, hey, if you just heard your wife, once she is mad at you because you're not there right now because you're selfishly chained to a pipe, selfish man, then all you hear is screaming and gunshots, I guess you're justified in not keeping your cool.
Yeah, that's fair. Finally, he's acting normally.
Now he gets
electrocuted, and he passes out for a moment. Adam's screaming at him, Lawrence, get up! I need you!
He does say I need you. I need you.
I have these flashbacks to like Brokeback Mountain. I just wish I could quit you.
Me, I went to Rose and Jack on the thing like, I'll never let you go.
That's after when he cuts off his foot. I have that right.
Oh, yeah. That's later. All right. Oh, and then I love Zep going down, limping down the stairs, and then Danny Glover chasing after him. Then they apparently drive around the block.
Okay, so the car chase scene, I have facts about that as well. So again, with this low budget film, they just were in a parking garage, turned off the lights, pumped the fog machine, and then just shook the cars. And that's how they filmed this chase scene.
And zoomed in and out a bunch. Let me zoom into these headlights. Let me zoom into the windshield. Let me just zoom in and out a bunch.
Oh, too good.
Which is fair. If you don't have the money for it, even though Frailty has the best.
Frailty?
I don't know. You probably never saw Frailty. It's pretty good. Okay. It's a nice gothic horror movie with Powers Booth and Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Yeah. And well, then a car ride, that one would, of course, that one is also low budget-ish. They and it's the rainstorm, so like apparently they showered the car up so the windows were wet. Then they had like pen lights, the return of the pen lights on little sticks in the background, and just people walking around with them like there was like other traffic.
Oh my gosh, I need to see this.
And it's not really that noticeable. Like it's pretty good, but
I need to see this. Okay, so Zep and Detective Danny have arrived at the warehouse, and meanwhile the cell phone is ringing in the bathroom again, but Dr. Gordon has tossed it out of reach. He is now losing his shit more and more as he tries to reach the cell phone using the box.
I give him credit for the box, fine, because it's the first thing he reached for, fine, because there's not much around you. The whole time, like, take the button up. The hacksaw, your shirt, you could use that to, like, throw it like a net, because literally it is maybe 5 inches away from his hand. It's not like it's across the room or anything.
And if he had used the hacksaw that he then saws his foot off with, he could have reached it.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, he had a couple options, but no. Apparently, cutting my foot off is option one here now and always. And of course, his wife calling because she's safe now. Calling. And what I don't get is, which is what I thought today watching. All right, this phone is ringing like crazy. Last thing I heard was my wife screaming and yelling. So it's either gonna be one or two things. It's either gonna be my wife fine or the person telling me that my wife's already gone because they won.
Yeah,
that's basically it's a 50-50 one at that point. Me losing my shit now isn't gonna change whatever that phone call is. So I'd rather just get the phone and figure it out.
Yeah, but instead, as Adam's trying to calm him down, he's just screaming, "Shut up! My family needs me!" And Adam's just quietly in the corner, "But I need you more."
But honey, come on, just calm down. We can figure this out. Like the whole time, he does become the supportive wife because it's like, listen, honey, just calm down. There's a way out of this. We can figure this out. We can get out of this. Me and you.
But meanwhile, Dr. Gordon's ripping his shirt off, and not in a sexy way. He's tying around his leg, and he begins to saw through his leg as Adam screams in terror.
Which doesn't seem tight enough for me to stop he ties around his leg to stop the blood from flowing down, is my guess.
Yeah, but he doesn't really tie it that well. He's like holding it with his like teeth as well. I think he should have bit down on his wallet, maybe. Like that might have some more pain relief. But
yeah, but he's screaming and yelling, man, just going at it.
I'm actually very surprised with how little he is affected by sawing off his foot. Adam is screaming way louder than he is.
I scream way louder just watching him do it, I think, because this I can go back to when I saw this in the theater. The theater lost their minds at this point. Like, you see people jumping and screaming and stuff. It gets worse at the end reveal. That was the best way to end the movie. But you see people like, oh no, he's really doing it. They just heard stuff and like the crowd was into it.
Oh man. Meanwhile, Danny and Zep are fighting, but Zep manages to shoot and kill Danny. He then limps his way into the bathroom. Gordon's 1 foot down, and he crawls across the floor, he grabs the gun. Sorry, this is before Beth has entered the bathroom. He grabs the gun, and another bit of foreshadowing here. When he opens up the revolver, there are no spent casings inside the gun, meaning that the man on the floor did not shoot himself. He then shoots Adam. Adam falls over. We got a really quick cutaway. We see that Allie and Diana are okay. They're at a neighbor's house, and they're trying to call Dr. Gordon on the phone. Zep then barges in. Gordon shoots the empty gun at him.
Yeah, shoots him. And Zep says what everybody's thinking, like, look, I killed him. He goes, it's too late now. You had till 6. It's...
Yeah, and Dr. Gordon goes, why? And what does Zep say?
There are rules, which makes sense. Which actually, hey, I gave it till 6. I am a man of my word. It's 6:30 now, or 6:15 apparently, because Dr. Gordon lives across the street from the warehouse, or around the corner from the warehouse, because they got there pretty quick. And
then, surprise, Adam's alive.
Yes, because Dr. Gordon is a crack shot apparently, and knew where to shoot him to cause him basically no harm.
Okay,
this is all part of the plan.
I could see it that way. I can also see it the other way of I just cut off my foot and I tried to actually shoot you, but
and I just missed. And I'm just gonna play it off as if I had planned it out this way. Like, oh man, you're gonna be fine. It's just a wound. I'll be back.
Oh, but Adam beats Zep to death with the lid of the toilet tank.
Yeah, that's for messing with his man. See, it all comes full circle. You
can't kill that man. Gordon and Adam then have their Jack and Rose moment. They're lying on the floor together, covered in blood, gripping each other's hands, and
Dr. Gordon's not looking pretty good.
No,
he's looking very pale at this point.
Very pale. And he says that he's going to go get help. He premises a premise. It's not promise. Premise.
Yeah, premise. Well, I could, it's the accent and the blood loss, and he did just lose a foot, so Yeah.
And then as he crawls away, he says to Adam, looks back lovingly, I wouldn't lie to you. He then crawls off to die because he's not getting up the ladder. He's missing a foot.
He's missing a foot. I don't know. And if you saw Danny Glover and Zep, it wasn't like by the door. They walked through 20 hallways and some stairs to get to the
it wasn't even stairs. It was a ladder. That's why I'm saying, if it was stairs, he could crawl his way up the stairs. But a ladder, I don't know about that.
But he doesn't know this, so it's fine. So,
Yeah. So at this point, Adam starts searching for a key in Zep's body, but instead he finds a tape recorder.
And this is worst recording of them all, I guess, because the other recordings listen, they basically explain to them why they're in this situation.
No, I think it's because Adam turns off the recorder once he figures out that he is a victim as well and that he's not getting out.
It could be, yeah, because it's oh, Zep, you have a slow-acting poison. Would you kill this wife and daughter would you kill a family to be saved? I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then you hear the music, the Saw theme.
Yeah, apparently this theme is called Hello, Zep.
Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense because that's when it kind of starts off, and it is pretty epic.
Yep, and then surprise, the body in the middle of the room
starts to get up.
Yeah, that floored me the first time I watched it.
Oh, that in the theater. Everybody, that's when they really lost their shit. Everybody just lost it. It was screaming and yelling in the stands. People didn't know what to do with themselves. It was mass anarchy in the theater. So
it turns out that that's Jigsaw. He does a nice little cow pose in yoga to stretch out his back after lying there for so long. Yeah. And then he reveals that, as we already mentioned, the key to Adam's chain was attached to the blue light that went down the drain at the beginning of the movie.
Then he picks up the gun to shoot Jigsaw. Jigsaw then electrocutes him because he's the one doing it, which makes sense why the other plans didn't work, because when they were whispering to each other, Jigsaw was in the room so he could hear them whispering to each other. So, of course, got that to fail. And then he gives him the quote, hey, then game over.
And that's the end of the movie. But I really want to know what happens in the immediate minutes after the end of the movie when Jigsaw is walking down the hallway and just sees Dr. Gordon and is like, sup? And then keeps on walking as he's just crawling his bloody stump across the floor.
They revisit this in a movie, in one of the future movies that comes back.
I can't wait.
I think it might be the last one with Dr. Gordon, but still, they do actually revisit as to what happened now. I think in the third one or the fourth one, they actually come back to this bathroom, and you get to see. It's in the second one. I can't remember which one they come back to the bathroom, and you get to see Adam, or what's left of him.
What's left of him, at least.
He wasn't ever found. That's all that means. They just never found him.
Yeah, I was very devastated by that. But oh well.
That was great.
Well, that was the movie, and what are our thoughts, our ending thoughts?
Yes. What do you think about watching it today with 13 pages of notes, critical eye? What do you think?
So with my critical eye today, I finally, I did notice that there are some poor acting moments.
Yeah.
There is a vague British accent where there shouldn't be one.
Yeah.
There is a lot of low budget moments that I never, because the plot is so great, I never paid attention to that before. But also the plot holes. This was the first time I noticed the plot holes. That pen light really bugs me.
I'm today paying more attention to it than normal. Like I'm usually just watching, having a good time with the movie. The movie, it's masterfully written and very well directed, considering they had $8 to film it with and to shoot with it. It can have plot holes, but if the rest of the movie is so good or and you get so involved in the story that you just pass them over, you got a good thing on your hands. This is the way I see it. Because of course it has plot holes. I think we outlined them every time they showed up today. Like, oh, what about this? They could have got, for somebody that planned some things out so intricately, why leave the key to get out on the guy the whole time, which by a stroke of dumb luck that happened to go down the drain, there is no way to know that was going to happen. It could have, hey, look, a key. Let me try this on my lock. Hey, look, it's open. Let me walk out. It's just, a couple things that get fixed later on. Like, why was Zepp in this? Why was Adam in this? Actually, because Adam had nothing. Adam had no task.
Yeah, I mean, his task was just to escape from the bathroom. Was probably what his task was.
Didn't have to fight. Didn't have anything. It was to get, his task only could have been to get Dr. Gordon to care about somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. Jigsaw did go in hard on Adam and told him that he was a piece of shit,
worthless.
It's really bizarre that his trap was so easily fixed if that he hadn't gone down the drain.
And even Dr. Gordon, like, he doesn't, it's more abstract the way he doesn't value his life. He doesn't value his home life, not his physical well-being in life. Like, everybody else, like, oh, they're killing themselves.
Need to murder someone because his only objective is to murder Adam. So he would have been released if he had just murdered Adam, is the implication here.
In 10 minutes, you know what, Adam? I don't know you. Bang, bang, you're dead, or whatever. Killed him somehow. Or the cigarette thing would have worked. Let's say the cigarette thing would have worked.
What about that makes Dr. Gordon then value life more just because he was abducted and now he murdered someone? Like,
for his wife? Because now, or maybe like I will kill to keep my wife alive because now I value her and my daughter's life, even though it showed him being a good dad, bad husband, still a good dad. Like,
I don't know. Definitely some questions that I am left with this movie. So
there's a couple of the holes, but while you're watching it, you don't really care because like, how are they going to get out of this industrial bathroom that makes no sense? There's a dead guy in the room. Wow, he's getting up. Like, there's other things going on.
A lot going on in this movie. A lot of it is great.
And you just take a lot of it for granted. A lot of the other stuff for granted. Like, you know what? Screw it. They're in the room for whatever reason. And they don't explain Adam and Dr. Gordon so much because they explain the other characters a little bit better. Because Amanda doesn't really get explained as to why she's there. The cop's like, you think because she's a drug dealer? Well, I don't know, I guess. The one guy was the suicide attempt guy, so it makes, all right, you have to cut yourself now to live because you cut yourself to try to kill yourself now. All right, that's very Seven in that one. All right,
but like also we're going to punish people for, probably suffering from mental illness. Like,
they actually get into that. The reason as to why he goes about doing this kind of stuff does show up in a movie, like the fifth one or something. Like, his reason for it does get explained. Like, they do explain a bunch. Like, lore is covered. Like, the lore, the reason, the why gets covered.
I'm excited to find out the reason why.
I hope you have patience because then they'll say it right away. But they say it eventually.
Well, we got a whole season, so we'll get there eventually.
Yes. You will get there eventually, but overall, even with the critical eye and the plot holes, and it made it sound like I was ragging on this movie a bunch, I still love this movie. It's still a great movie.
Absolutely.
It drags a little bit in certain parts and stuff, but nothing. And there's way too many flashbacks, and they hit you over the head with too much exposition, like right out the gate. Like, all right, this is Jigsaw Killer. This is what he does. This is why he's doing it. There's a whole bunch of stuff right in the beginning. You're like, all right. Then you just like, it's like a roller coaster. then you're just there for the ride. Danny Glover's useless and pointless, but it's still great for his character. Danny Glover's great, but his character is not. He doesn't have much to work with.
Yeah, I completely agree. A lot happens right at the beginning of the movie, and then it's just a whole bunch of flashbacks that they're giving you pieces of the information, but like they just continue to have very similar flashbacks to tell you more information as it goes. And like, I don't know. It's, as you were saying, like, as much as we're ragging on this movie, it is one of my favorites and will always be one of my favorites. I used to have a Saw poster in my bedroom. Like, I had like Amanda with the reverse hair top on her face. Like, that's great. Yeah, I love this movie. Absolutely. So what would you rate this movie?
All right. Before we get to the rating, the only thing I would do, like, the fixer aspect of our
what would we do
of it all. Yeah, the fixer aspect of it is the only thing I would fix or change to make it, maybe tweak it, is not have the actors act like they're in a movie, like they're supposed to be fooling me. It's like Zepp acting all like creepy, like he's the killer until he's not. Even though I love Jigsaw in his robe, velvet robe with the hood, the satin robe with the hood and the red and the black, it's very stylish.
Yeah.
But why would you be wearing this in that situation? Like, it's only so that we don't see it's Jigsaw. It's not so that the cops don't see it's Jigsaw. And it is so that Danny Glover could still think it's Gordon and be obsessive over it. It's little things like that. All right. For rating, the way we're going to work this, or the way we're planning on this, and we're going to probably work on this as we go. It's all fluid until we have it all nailed down. But since we are a series of horrors and we talk about horror series and franchises, it's more the value of the franchise itself than the individual parts. As an example, if the first movie in a franchise is a 10, but the other 2 or 3 are 1s, then it's not really a good franchise. It's a good movie to start, and then the rest are cash grabs or whatever. So it's one of those things. More the overall aspect of in this case, 8 movies, soon to be 9 movies, than Saw itself. So the plan is, as of right now, we rate them, then we track.
Yeah, we'll find an average between all of our ratings as we go. So we'll rate each movie individually as just a movie, and then we're going to figure out what that has as an impact on the franchise itself.
And then we just rate the franchise in the season finale. We just rate the franchise like, as a whole. Now that we've seen all these movies, how would you rate the franchise?
We'll give you both the average out, the math, what we calculate based on our previous scores, but then just our personal opinion at the end of the day, rating the entire franchise.
Yeah, because sometimes the whole is more than the sum of its parts, and I feel this series might fall into that, because there are individual movies that aren't that good, because they all fall into a piece to a bigger puzzle. And once the whole thing's put together, it makes a lot more sense. This is a good one to start off with, this kind of, just because the way the series of movies is constructed, I believe. And hopefully you guys do as well. And Jackie, you do, because after this one, you've seen the second one, then 3 through 8 will be first times. So we're going to have fun with these. But this one, I have to start high. I think I go out of 10, 1 to 10, I have to go like an 8, solid 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm at like an 8.5. Can I do 0.5?
At this point, we could do whatever we want.
It's like an 8.5 for me. I love this movie. I will rewatch it anytime and have a good time watching it. Also, I quote Adam in my daily life, and people look at me like I have 3 heads because they don't know what I'm quoting, but I have a good time with it.
I got to figure out to work that 15 hooker gangbang into my daily conversation. And so, don't know how I will.
I sold my best friend on watching Saw because she's like, I don't watch horror or whatever. And I'm like, let me tell you this one line. She's like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie.
Like, now I must see it. And this is a good horror movie for people that don't really like horror movies, because they get gorier as they go. Because this movie is not really that gory. There's one scene of the disembowelment, but really it's not really that gory. And not really that many jump scares. It's more of, if I were there, what would I do? But that is,
I guess,
the beginning.
Yeah, this is the end of the beginning.
Yes, the end of the beginning. I like that.
We hope that you join us for another episode. If you like this podcast, we would love for you to rate and subscribe. You can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at Series of Horrors Podcast, and we have our Facebook group as well at the same name.
Yeah, you can email us at seriesofhorrors at gmail.com. Just drop us a message, rate, subscribe, let us know.
Tell us if you have any suggestions for future seasons.
Yes. Really would love to engage with anybody that's listening and that loves horror as much as we do. in for the long rides we plan to be on, because it's easier to do one movie one week than a whole different thing next week. But it's going to be big and in-depth, deep dives into entire, like, there's a reason there's 8 of these. Right? They made 8 of these, soon to be 9 of these for a reason. So the only way to know is by watching them all and seeing how they go.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how they all tie together and to get some of my answers finally that I've had for, how long did we agree? 17 years?
Yeah, 17 years is what our...
I've had all these questions, and finally I'll get the answers.
What is it in metric? Like, it's in imperial, it's 17, but in metric system.
The metric system in years is the same thing. It's everything else that you guys are...
All right. I was wondering. I'm like, all right.
We don't measure years differently. We just measure space differently.
Thought I would ask. I'm like, all right, because I know I was raised on the imperial system, and I don't know.
Oh, man. The weird thing about Canada, though, is that we are partially metric. We are partially imperial. Like, it's confusing because we talk feet and inches generally, but when it comes to temperature,
yeah, that's the one I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna go to, because I get lost every time I see a Celsius anything. I'm like, all right, is it cold? I still don't know if it's cold. Like, it might be.
The way that Celsius works is you were a normal human being, and you were saying like temperatures rising from 0 to 100. So like 0 is cold, and like negative is like freezing.
Really?
And then you go the other way, and it gets warmer. There will be lots of tangents on this podcast, clearly.
The metric corner. Yes, thank you. We're gonna have to hit a couple American Canadian differences. Because hey, why not? I'm gonna try to have some fun with that too, because we have to have a good time with everything.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we hope you stick around for the next one.
Yes, thank you. Been a pleasure, Jackie, as always. And see you guys soon.